live stream, everyone, to do a watch party, which we often do when OpenAI releases like these random Monday live streams. So welcome everyone. This is not Thursday Eye, although the people who are here are participants in such a Thursday Eye event. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. I'm the host of Thursday Eye for the past 100th episode. 100 episodes that we've been doing this with me, Nistan here. Nistan, welcome. Good morning. How's your Monday, man?
Hey, morning, everybody. I'm Nistan. I'm just a software dev in Toronto that doesn't go outside very much.
AI dev, AI engineer. And we've been commenting on the state of things in AI for the past at least 2 years. More than 2 years. 2 years in a month, actually. April 14th. So 2.1 years. 2 point something. And today, OpenAI is about to release GPT 4.1 because naming is not what they're best at. They're focused on training models instead of they should train a model to come up with better naming for them. In fact, Kevin Well, ooh, do you hear this music? This means the live stream is about to get started.
From Universe Sandbox or Everspace or one of those games.
Yep. So we're gonna go just kind of full screen this, and meanwhile, while OpenAI gets up to speed, I will just tell you all that sometimes when OpenAI goes live, we're here to do commentary, and we heard about quasars, and supposedly today is the quasar lunch, and so this is a watch party, which means that if you're watching us on X, like many of you are, listen, we're coming up on almost 1,000 views on X, and it's climbing fast. Welcome. Which then this is your only way to view this on X. If you're only on X, if you don't want to go on YouTube, we're about to cross 1,000 live views, which is crazy. Hey everyone! And if you're watching us on YouTube, which is all 6 of you, I appreciate each and every one of you there on YouTube. But I don't know if we're gonna be that much addition to the official stream, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try to be very quiet during the actual stream, so you'll get the full experience.
Okay. Can we make some quick predictions? Because I've been saying the whole time that the Quasar Alpha model, that is definitely 4.0 mini or something. I've been running a lot of medical data sets, a lot of stuff, just generating them as while it was free, and it's been amazing.
Quasar is on Open Router. Just
Quasar Alpha,
a new thing that happens here. Open Router, for folks who are watching and are not familiar with, is this incredible place where you can get all the models. You pay like $5, and the less. Dude, I think I'm on the original $5 that I paid Alex for Open Router for the past, I don't know, like a few months. Anyway, you go to Open Router, you upload whatever amount of money, and then you don't even have to, because there's many free models like this one. And basically with one string, you can replace and try other models via the same API. Just like a proxy API. They have, for the first time ever, I believe, Nistan, I don't think we've seen anything from the Open Router like this, released 2 models. They're unnamed. They're not from a provider. They don't tell us who this is from. Previously, LMC Serena did this. Now, Open Router does this. One of them was Quasar. And this is the one you're talking about. And you've been trying this, and your experience is
it's
amazing.
Phenomenal. It still has the ChatGPT dash, like the 2 dashes, but I made data sets and it followed the instructions for data set perfectly. I had like a 4-page long Python script just to make it, and it was very long, very extensive, and it followed it perfectly, better than any other model I tried. But yeah, it still sounded like a ChatGPT. But when you're making data sets, it's a good thing. Like, yeah. So the entire, like the frontline medic data set, that was all generated with this. I was able to push it to like 30 languages or so until I got rate limited on all the API keys from Open Router. But yeah, shout out to Open Router for leaving it open.
Shout out to Open Router, indeed. And I actually suggested to Open Router, like, why don't you go into the LMC's kind of stuff? Because we are here to talk about OpenAI. we won't be able to not talk about everything else that happens, which is MetaLlama 4 came out on LMSys and came out like third or something, and then apparently it was like a bespoke API, and now it's down there at around level like 35. Nist, I don't know if you saw this like down ranking on LMSys Arena. I gotta wonder how such a thing happens, and after which, are we over indexing on how good LM Arena actually is for ranking if a model can jump that low that fast? But we're here to talk about OpenAI.
Yeah, it's just that we don't know unless you host the model yourself, right? Like we don't know which rack system it has. For example, if you use MetaLlama inside WhatsApp or inside Instagram, it's actually very, very good for the RAG it has. It has all the latest info. So often I'm just going on WhatsApp or Instagram, whatever I'm close to just look something up very quickly. And it's actually quite excellent at knowing the recent things. And it's fast too.
Yeah. So we're gonna wait and see. Meanwhile, folks, I will say we have over 1,000 folks here. Me and Nistan host, and other co-hosts, we host the Thursday AI podcast every Thursday for the past over 2 years. We just celebrated episode 100, and it was incredible. And I really invite you all to watch this on Thursday.news. We've covered so much of the AI scene, and we keep doing this every week, and sometimes even impromptu, like today, because we just had some time. And honestly, we would watch this. Like we literally would just sit there and watch this and just chat in our green room and text back and forth. And we're like, should we do this with you guys? And the answer was a resounding yes, based on, dude, we're getting more streams than our scheduled show gets sometimes, which is crazy. So welcome everyone who's new here. And if you had not subscribed and you kind of enjoyed the voices and the commentary, you're more than welcome to go on Thursday.news, which the motto is, we stay up to date so you don't have to. And we've been staying up to date so you don't have to for the past 100. God damn it, listen, give me 100 episodes, it's crazy.
Yeah, and we covered basically everything that happened in open source. Like there were a few things here and there that we missed, but I would say we covered at least like over 90%, 95%.
No. There's a few things where we don't go into. We try not to do speculation. We try. It's really hard, but we try. We really try, because speculation is like everybody's game. We try to not overhype some things if we don't believe if they're good, right? So we're definitely are failing often at not overhyping, but we try. But we cover become as APIs. We love open source. We chat with developers from the open source community and researchers, and we often have the people who release the thing and are on the paper come and talk to us about their achievement, which is great. We saw that such a place is missing in the live conversation. There's often this, I don't know, influencer person talking to you about what they learned, and we was like, nope, we want the researchers to come and talk to us, and that's been incredible. And we cover voice and audio, we cover video. Recently, we started covering AI agents and MCPs and different things. This next next Thursday, we're going to chat with folks from Google who built the A2A protocol to try and understand why and what for. And then that's going to be a great conversation as well. And yeah, we're getting a few folks that saying, I've tested, let's actually, let's interact with the community. It's a watch party, right? Jacob says, I tested Quasar Alpha for HTML code, one-shot HTML, Tailwind pages, and it didn't perform as well as Cloud 3.7 syncing. But to be fair, that's versus a reasoning model. That's true. Listen, you got a question coming in. Look at that. Community participates. Let's go. We talked about Deep Cogito just a little bit on the last pod.
I don't know. I haven't. That's the one I did not try. I remember I saw it there, but then I saw that All Hands had released a 7B, and then that took all of my attention entirely.
Yeah. We mentioned Deep Cogito briefly, but we didn't got into this. And folks, we talk about so much stuff. It's unrealistic for us. I remember when we started, we actually tried out as the span of the week continues up until Thursday, we actually played with these models. Now it's literally almost impossible for us. So we are leaning on the community vibes as well. and we're leaning on you guys to tell us what you think. We're very good at collecting vibes.
Yeah, there's no replacement for vibe testing. It's just
Yep.
you have a much bigger neural net. You just have the human actually interact with it, and it doesn't matter how much funding you have or like how big your team is. You cannot predict what the neural net of the humans and then their collective neural net is going to. Yeah, it's impossible to predict how much, because there's just so much entropy there. You can't really predict how people are going to interact with it. It doesn't matter.
All right, let's go, folks.
All right, let's go.
OpenAI.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I'm a post-training research lead here at OpenAI.
Hi, I'm Ishan, and I also work on post-training.
All right, today we're excited to announce GPT 4.1, which is a family of models in the API that were trained just for developers. And it's 3 models. So it's GPT 4.1, GPT 4.1 Mini, and for the first time, GPT 4.1 Nano, which is our smallest, fastest, and cheapest model ever. Now, these models are better than GPT 4.0 on just about every dimension. They even meet or beat GPT 4.5 in a bunch of key ways. And for the first time, they have long context. So all 3 models, even the Nano model, can handle up to 1 million tokens of context. We've also got some fun pricing stuff to talk about, but we'll save that for later.
And actually, the decision to name these 4.1 was intentional.
I mean, it's not just that we're bad at naming.
It's not just that.
It's also that. But these models are better across the board. They're great at coding. They're great at complex instruction following. They're fantastic for building agents. So let's dive in. Let's talk evals. Let's do demos. You want to take us away?
Yeah. Let's get started with a little look at kind of the intelligence by latency curves here. And the Quasar, the 4.1 series actually improves a lot from 4.0. So you can see 4.0 and Mini here are in green. And then 4.1, we have these 3 new models that kind of move that frontier upward because they're much more intelligent. You also can see that we have Nano as a new entrant in this area, and it's much faster, but also, really holds its weight on intelligence. So that's kind of the rough shape of the models. And, when deciding when to use them, we recommend starting with 4.1, and it's our kind of powerhouse for these 3 dimensions: coding, instruction following, and long context. But if you need something a little faster, for maybe a slightly simpler use case, I'd recommend 4.1 Mini. And then finally, Nano is just an absolute workhorse for tons of applications like autocomplete or classification or extracting stuff from long documents. So that's kind of when you should use each model. But let's get into coding first. So developers care a lot about coding, and we've been improving our model's ability to write functional code. And so what does that mean? We've been working on making it follow diff formats better, explore repos, write unit tests, and write code that compiles. And actually, SweBench is a really great eval for evaluating this sort of performance. The model is dropped into a Python repo. It's given a task. It's got to explore, write some code, write some tests. And we see that GPT 4.1 is a significant improvement over our past models. It reaches 55% accuracy, up from 33% from our previous GPT 4.0 model. And we think this is pretty impressive for a non-reasoning model. It even beats 0.1 and 0.3 Mini. But SweBench is all Python. And we've also improved this model's ability to code in other languages. And Aider Polyglot is a great benchmark for that specifically. It's got a bunch of languages. But also what's cool is that it's got a whole and diff format. So sometimes developers want the model to rewrite the entire file, but sometimes you want it to produce diffs. And that's useful when you want a faster application. You save latency on the tokens that are not changed.
Also save money, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so here you can see that we've really closed the gap on whole and diff performance. And we've also doubled GPT 4.1's diff performance from 4.0. You can also see that Mini is a really significant improvement over GPT 4.0 Mini. So we think both of these models will be a great model for any kind of coding tasks. So those are coding benchmarks. But there's also kind of the intangibles of when you're using a model. When you're creating a front end, is it functional? Is it beautiful? Does it nail the mark? And so for that, we have a little example of a flashcard app I've been making.
You're learning Hindi.
Yeah, working on it. And so I've got a prompt here. It's pretty complicated. I'm asking for this app pretty specifically. I want a nice 3D animation when you click on the flashcard. And so when I give this prompt to GPT-4o, this is what I get. It follows some of the instructions, and some of the app is functional. But we've really trained GPT 4.1 to do better. And that model, you can see it looks way better. It's discovered colors. It can also do the 3D animation. So we think you're really going to like this improvement to front-end coding.
And this was just based on that prompt that you gave it?
Just one prompt, and you get back an entire working application. It's pretty cool. But we've also been working on instruction following. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so just like coding, we have made the model way better at instruction following. It now strictly follows all the instructions that you provided. So using all the feedback that we received, we created this internal instruction following eval, where it mimics how an API developer uses our model. So each sample in the eval contains a complex set of instructions, where each instruction belongs to one of several categories, like formatting, ranking, ordered instructions, overconfidence, and so on. And collectively, that sample is given a difficulty rating from like easy, medium, and hard. And we see that this model does really well across all those axes and on difficulty levels as well. So here you can see the hard subset eval results, and this model is so much better than the previous 4.0 model.
So what's an example of like a really hard set of instructions to follow?
Yeah, so let's say you're building a trip planning application, and you give it instructions like make sure you receive all the info from the user before answering them. And when you answer with the trip itinerary, make sure it's in a table format. It contains 5 rows, 3 columns. The columns are formatted in a certain way.
Yeah, I don't know about you all. I remember all the times that you learn these tricks in prompting where you're like, no, you really need to make this a table, not a list. Trust me, my boss is going to be super mad at me if you don't get this right.
Yeah,
so hopefully no more of that.
Yeah, and people actually were doing that just so that they could get the model to follow an instruction. None of that is needed now. The model follows all your instructions to the T, and it does really well. We also have a new prompting guide now that we'll publish on how to get the best out of our models.
Awesome.
And not just internal evals, even on external benchmarks like Scale's multi-challenge eval that tests models' instruction following capabilities on multiple turns, our model does really well. So for example, you might have an instruction 3 turns ago, and it tests whether the model remembers that instructions and continues to follow it. So it also tests models' coherence and memory. These improvements also scale well on long context data too. So you could give it large corpus of data, and the behavior that you're trying to extract from the model, it'll continue to follow that.
Nice. Yeah, speaking of large corpuses, GPT 4.1, Mini, and Nano are our first models to have 1 million of tokens in as the context. This is up from 128K for our past models, so it's an 8x improvement, which is pretty big. But it's not enough to just have the context. You want the model to be able to use it effectively. And so for that, we're showing this eval we created, which is a needle in a haystack. We insert some kind of text into a large corpus, and we ask the model to find it. And we see that the model can find it across any depth, so maybe at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the document, and also across the entire full length of the context up to 1 million.
This is a very boring looking graph, but it's boring in a great way because it says every square is actually working.
Yeah, it's actually boring through so much work, which is so cool. Normally you would expect to see some of these be red, like the long context doesn't hold up to a certain area. But the fact that all of these is blue means that the model can find what you're looking for.
And this is for all 3 models?
All 3 models, even Nano. So this is not, the end-all be-all of long context. It's nice to find a detractor in a long document, but that's not exactly what all our developers are doing. So we've also created an eval called OpenAI MRCR. And this is a kind of more challenging way of determining how well the model does on long context. So you can see that GPT 4.1 in blue exceeds GPT 4o in green significantly, up to 128K tokens. And it holds up quite well all the way up to 1 million tokens.
This eval is actually really complex. Can you explain it a little bit more about how it works?
Yeah, it's pretty complicated. So we basically create these synthetic conversations where there's a user and an assistant talking back and forth. And the user is asking for things like, give me a poem about tapirs, and then give me a poem about frogs, and then maybe give me a short story about tapirs. And then we ask the model, find me the second short story about tapirs. And so you can find, it's pretty complicated. You have to not get confused by the poems and the frogs and find the second and not the first one. So we're really excited about this improvement in performance, but you can see that there's still some work to do here. And so as part of that, we're publishing this eval on Hugging Face today, OpenAI MRCR. And we really want to spur on more work in the kind of more difficult long context processing area. Yeah, and then more on multimodal long context. So sometimes you're not just using text, but you also want to upload a video. And we found that on the video MME benchmark, GPT 4.1 reaches state-of-the-art performance, achieving 72%. So this benchmark is pretty cool. You upload like a 30 to 60 minute video without subtitles, and the model is asked multiple choice questions. So GPT 4.1 is much better at understanding this sorts of thing. All right, and then one last hit on evals, a lot of plots, I know. On multimodal processing in general, these models are a really significant improvement. But the real story is GPT 4.1 mini. This model, you can see it really punches above its weight on multimodal reasoning and intelligence. And we think this is probably the top model to be used if you're doing any sort of multimodal or image processing.
Okay. Amazing benchmarks, but let's see some demos.
Let's do it. So here we have the OpenAI Playground, which is a really nice UI to iterate on OpenAI's APIs. I've pre-selected the latest 4.1 model. And in the system message, I've given it a light identity. The identity is it needs to produce a single Python file code application with very limited setup required. I also told it that it has access to the latest 4.1 model, which can handle up to 1 million tokens of input and 32K output. So on the right, we mimic a user query. So the user is asking to make a website that can take a large text file and answer questions about it. We give it very limited style guidance, and we tell it to use OpenAI's responses APIs to answer questions about the doc. So let's see it in action.
So you're having, as part of the demo, you're having it create a website, and then you'll use that website for the rest of the demo.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So now it's producing like multiple hundreds of lines of code. I've rerun this query before, and I've copied the code that it spits out into this app.py file. So you can see it's a multiple 100-line file. You see that the HTML has been inlined in this file. If you keep scrolling, you would see there's an upload code, the code to ask questions. It's going to hit the responses API.
So the model did this just in one shot?
Yeah, it's doing that right now as we're seeing it. Yeah, let's produce the code.
We got any confirmed sizes?
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Should we take it for a spin?
Let's do it.
No
Yeah.
sizes.
Cool.
Not, but three variations.
Okay. So let's try.
And did they say
Nice.
it is Quasar? So
That
they
looks
said
pretty cool.
Quasar.
It's a little BDB sassy, but I think
It is for
works.
sure.
I do like that it
Yeah, she said Quasar.
advertises itself there at the
start.
bottom, powered by GPT 4.1.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Just based on the limited guidance that we gave it, it produced this website. So to test the log file that I'm about to upload, that file is NASA's server request response log file from 1995 August. Let me show you that file.
You just have this file lying around?
Yeah, you don't?
I prefer the 94.
Oh,
The 94 is a great version.
that's a good one, yeah. So in this log file, you can see the client name in the left that made the request to NASA's servers. You see the timestamp, the resource that was accessed, and the HTTP response code. This is a long file that contains a lot of log lines. And you can see on the left that this is about 450,000 tokens of content here.
Nice. So you just couldn't use this with our past models?
Yeah, this wasn't possible. So let's try uploading this file. Now what I've done is I've snuck in a line that is not actually an HTTP request response. Let's see if it can find it.
Very sneaky of you.
Okay, so it's a little needle in a haystack, except in this case, you don't even tell it what the needle looks like. It's just figure out what's different and tell me.
Exactly. So it's going to sift through the whole file, do some pattern matching to see how all the log lines look like.
This is
and then try
very
to see
hard.
if there's one that does not look like the others.
Nice. And I really like this thinking spinner. So this is just the front end that we created in the demo right before this one.
Exactly. It's like a nice actively going spinner. And all the front-end improvements also are showing up here, even in this like very limited single-page Python application that we asked it to write. It doesn't have access to like other additional files that it could spit out for
What's the
styling or anything like
output?
that. So,
They said
Totally.
output
Yeah, I think this front
What's the
end
model?
is definitely significantly better than one I can make. So it meets my bar for sure.
yeah, and this spinning thing is kind of neat.
Definitely taken a sec, but I think we're almost there.
Live demos, folks, live demos.
What we see now is the largest, or they didn't mention?
The 4.1.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
They
Come on,
asked.
We have any hint,
awesome.
maybe? Like it's like 4.0 or anything?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of evils. It's
Okay.
We made it.
oh, answer.
It's looking great.
There is a line that it has spit out that does not look like an HTTP request line to me.
It does not.
Okay. Let's see if this line is indeed in the log file that we uploaded.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
There it is.
Great. So it was able to find this line that has been snuck into this deep 450,000 token log file that is like very hard to find. So did pretty well.
Nice job, GPT 4.1.
Let's look at another demo.
Awesome.
Okay. So here we are going to riff on the previous demo that we saw, but this one is going to be more focused on how an API developer prompts our model. So I've again selected the 4.1 model here. And here the application's personality is of a log analyst assistant. We tell it how the input data will be structured. So we tell it will be within these log data tags, and how the user's query would be structured. So that would be in the query tag. And then we have a set of rules. So these are kind of the instructions that an API developer would provide to the model. So they are saying that only answer questions about the content within log data. The question should always be formatted within the query tags. If any of those things are not true, please respond with an error message. The response should be in an XML format, and I've given it some very light guidance on how the XML format should look like. So it should have some tags like result, final answer, references, and so on.
Nice. Yeah, this looks a lot like the system messages we find developers use often. You know, they're pretty meaty.
Yeah. And I've preloaded the log file here. So this is the trimmed version of the same log file we saw earlier. Cool. So I first made a request saying how many requests were made by fnal.gov. And it rejected it because it was not formatted within the query tags. Now I'm going to make the same request within query tags and see how it does. Okay, now it was able to find the two references that are within the log file. So this is the kind of interaction we see quite a bit with 4.0, where users want a certain behavior, and especially certain behavior not to happen, and the model sometimes misses on it. So an example, I made the same query to 4.0, and it answered the question instead of saying that it needs to be wrapped in query tags.
Yeah, that's a key detail we hear a lot from developers. You really want it to follow negative instructions and do exactly as specified.
Exactly, yeah.
Super cool.
Awesome. So great results on benchmarks. That was an awesome set of live demos. I know a big amount of work has gone into just making sure that this model is really good at the kind of day-to-day tasks that developers face. And you and your team have put a ton of time into that, so maybe talk a bit about it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's not an accident that developers in the real world love using these models. To that end, we kind of went with a data sharing program last year where developers can opt in to share their traffic with us in exchange for free credits. And so when that traffic comes in, we'll scrub it for PII, remove any identifying details, and then use that to improve our models. And actually, one of the key things we do with that is creating evals. And so the evals help us tell, like, when we're creating a new model, are we on the right track? Are developers going to like this? And so the eval Sean mentioned at the top, instruction following, was directly inspired by this. And so first I want to say thank you to all of the developers who opted in. Thanks to you opting in, we've been able to make a much better model. And then what I'll say for developers who haven't yet, if you want the models to get better for you with no work on your part, I'd recommend opting in.
Yeah, it really does help us build great models for you. Now, we said we also would come back and talk pricing. Our mission is to ensure that AGI benefits all of humanity. And one of the things that we've learned over and over is that the more cost effectively we can offer our models, the more use cases you're able to build, the more that you're able to use AI to help people all over the world. And so in particular, GPT 4.1, with all of the improvements that Michelle and Ishan have been talking about, is going to be 26% cheaper than GPT 4.0. And GPT 4.1 Nano is our smallest, fastest, cheapest model ever at just 12 cents blended per million tokens. And going beyond what any of our competitors offer, there is no pricing bump for long context. So when you use our long context models, you're just paying for your tokens the same way that you pay for a non-long context request. Now, One bit of a fun police update here. We know GPUs are at a premium. We want to make sure that we can get GPT 4.1 out as broadly as possible to all of you. And we've just been talking about how 4.1 beats even 4.5 on a lot of key benchmarks. So we're announcing that we're going to be deprecating GPT 4.5 in the API. Not today. It'll happen over the course of the next 3 months or so.
What?
But we really do need those GPUs back.
What?
Yeah, we're really excited to get some back for research. So thank you.
Yeah, and I know we all love GPT 4.5.
It's expensive.
A lot
Probably
of the
people didn't
improvements
use
that
it.
we've made are going to continue on in this model and in other models. So
I'm not
has been a
surprised.
successful experiment.
Yeah, me too.
Now,
It's like
we have
10
one more surprise
times,
for you. I'm
like
really
10
excited to
instances
invite
of
Varun,
GPT-4.
who's the founder and CEO of Windsurf. Just one of the premier agentic
Windsurf.
coding
Nice.
IDEs out in the market.
Let's go.
Varun and his team have been early
that's gonna be interesting.
testers of GPT 4.1, and excited to hear from you directly. How's it been?
Yeah, we got access to GPT 4.1. We were super excited to sort of test it out, and we were very surprised with the performance. We have internal benchmarks that are very similar to what a SWE bench looks like that validates end-to-end software performance. And we found that it was a 60% improvement over GPT 4.0, which is a massive bump. But internal benchmarks only tell a part of the story, right? For our users, what matters more than just getting to a solution, it's actually the smoothness, the interactivity when you're vibe coding an app or modifying an app. And what we actually found was GPT 4.1 has substantially fewer cases of degenerate behavior. And maybe a couple examples here, we found that GPT 4.1 reduces kind of the number of times that it needs to read unnecessary files by 40% compared to the other leading models. And also, it modifies unnecessary files 70% less than the other leading models. To top it all off, the model is also surprisingly less verbose, right? These models sometimes tend to blabber a lot, and GPT 4.1 is 50% less verbose than the other leading models as well. For all these reasons, we've been super excited about the performance. We decided to actually go out and provide GPT 4.1 for free for all of our free and paid users for the week, and also heavily discount the product immediately afterwards.
So just to recap, in Windsurf, GPT 4.1 will be free, totally free for the next 7 days, and then going forward will be heavily discounted for a while.
That's exactly right.
Awesome.
Let's go farming.
My 8-year-old decided he wanted to start selling Legos. And so we opened up Windsurf, opened GPT 4.1, and we vibe coded a Lego website for his upcoming business. And it worked great. So,
You'll have to send that over.
Yeah, we'll post it with the live stream. I'm sure everybody is excited about it. But thanks so much for joining us. We're super excited to see what people build in Windsurf and in beyond. So that's today. We have a family of 3 models, GPT 4.1, GPT 4.1 mini, and GPT 4.1 nano, that are our smartest, fastest, cheapest models that we have ever built, just in the API for developers. By the way, you can also fine-tune GPT 4.1 and 4.1 mini starting today, and nano will be available to fine-tune in the near future. I want to say a huge thank you to Michelle, to Ishan, and to their whole teams. These models are fantastic. We're super excited to see what you all build. So that's it for today. These models are available now. They're in the API. Please start using them. We can't wait to see what you build, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you so much.
Let's go. Thank you, OpenAI.
Okay. I got a lot to say, man. There's so much.
Reaction time.
Look, you start. You got anything
All right,
to say?
so folks, let's just Kevin did recap at the end, but let's recap what's happening right now. There's 15,000 people watched the live stream on YouTube, and like 5,000 almost watching us. So I feel like we're part of the announcement now. Thank you everybody for joining the watch party. OpenAI launches new models after they've launched new models before with 4.5, which is now RIP. Where's 4.5 is about to die in the API. We welcome new GPT 4.1, 4.1 mini, and 4.1 nano. Nano seems to be a direct shot across the bow towards Google's Gemini Flash with pricing of 10 cents or 12 cents blended, some ridiculous number like this. This is the first models that they have with 1 million context windows. So OpenAI is stepping up their game in the context window in a significant way. Still showing needle in a fucking haystack. Shout out to Greg Comrade who changed the industry with needle in the haystack eval. Even he says do not be used, but all right. But they also came up with a bunch of evals. So a bunch of evals across the board looks very incredible for the pricing specifically. So even 4.1 compared to 4.0 is cheaper by, they said like 23%, but not to mention the nano is like significantly cheaper. Instruction following, they've been testing, confirmed that this is Quasar. Michelle let it slip in the beginning. Quasar does, 4.1 does this. So we're like confirming that this was what was used to train and get feedback under Quasar on Open Router. Overall, very exciting news for developers. Means nothing to consumers probably, but the front end specifically improvements that they highlighted and instruction following. So very decent all around. We should look at the evals and kind of dissect them one by one, but let's go initial reactions.
We're gonna get it on ChatGPT one day, or
you can try it on Open Router right now. I'm trying Optimus Alpha, and it is getting the questions.
Alpha?
It's 4.1. Okay, I called the other one that was I kept calling it 4.0 mini, but I guess it's 4.1 mini. It's not fully confirmed, but she confirmed. She said
you can try it on the playground right now.
I'm trying it right now on the playground. It is
just to give a little bit of context. When was 4.5 released? I think a month ago.
Yeah,
something like that.
We covered it a month ago. 4.5. I'm gonna go and check, but 4.5. RIP. There's not going to be 4.5. They trained a ridiculously huge model. They released it, and then they improved 4.0. That became better than 4.5, and now 4.1 is better than 4.5. So they're gonna let it die. Basically, that's so sad. I wish I had the
big model smell.
Yeah,
we want the model.
February 27th was the official release of 4.5. Which was
another question.
API,
4.0 mini. How much? What's the price of it on the API? Just to give perspective.
Yeah, let's bring the prices up. I have the prices.
It's cheap. It looks pretty cheap. I think it was a $1.6 out, and with caching was only like 10 cents in.
Yeah.
So nano is even smaller.
Yeah, we have probably new versions.
Probably not going to use the nano that much unless it's. Oh, there you go. Okay.
All right, so we have 3 new versions. GPT 4.1, which is kind of stand-in for 4.0. As far as how these things go, usually, drop-in replacement almost immediately for most people. Though, be careful, folks. Test it out. Don't do it on production. Do some evals before. But generally, that's how they go about this model versus this model. Nano is the interesting one here. Nano is the one that we didn't have an equivalent for. All of them support 1 million context window, which is incredible. 32K output. I believe there's a model that they had that supported more output, but all right, this is great. And $2, I guess a little bit less blended, maybe, and output for $8. Yeah, this is a very decent price reduction as well for everything that you do. But given that you get 1 million context, and did you guys catch this? The direct shots fired towards Google that they're not changing the price after long context. So Google traditionally has up to 128 context window this price, and then something else, and you have to kind of calculate and start doing this. Google also, with all our love to Google, Gemini 2.5 is incredible. Like to this day, incredible, folks. Do not be missed. How incredible this is. But with that said, the context caching, the caching of input tokens on Google is a bit more complex. OpenAI does this automatically for you. So basically you win here if you just keep using the same thing within the kind of the caching window. So there's an additional benefit here. Multimodal, we should go into the evals, but multimodal is significant. A significant improvement, including they stated state-of-the-art on M video. which is kind of understanding of video, just raw video, which you still have to convert into images, right? So that's something they did. They broke it down to frame by frame. There's no other way. Gemini gets them directly in.
I have a test saved from Quasar Alpha and Optimus Alpha. Optimus is getting it way better, but they're all the same style.
Yeah.
I can show it if you want, because they removed that one from Open Router. Dude, it is so good. I
want to show this super quick because somebody said, Randy Williams said, I'll wait for the ADER benchmark, and it looks like the folks ran the ADER benchmark as well. They specified ADER Polyglots benchmark. For folks who are following, ADER is a coding agent, and one of the coolest things about this coding agent, besides the fact that it writes itself most of the code, and it wrote 50% of itself. They have fill in the middle tasks, and they have diff tasks as well for ADER. And those are usually go kind of a little bit differently than just code generation. Yeah, we talked about this as well in the context of diffusion models for code, right? Like some tasks are better for this type of performance. And so we're seeing OpenAI not only respecting Paul something like this, ADER's work in the community and the trust that we give him and the ADER benchmark in the community, but also running it themselves and showing us examples. The GPT 4.1 beats 4.0, comes very close to 0.1, which is a reasoning model, very, very close to 0.1, which is a reasoning model. This is impressive, within like the 10% as well, and then beats 4.5, which is sad, which I have to take a moment here for 4.5. They keep talking about scaling laws working, and then they gave us the model that was trained basically only on scaling laws, and now they're basically shot it in the head. People say it's not sad, but I'm like, come on! I had so much good like hope for this model. And
I really hope they're not gonna take it from the ChatGPT UI. I really like the model. I'm using it every day.
No, I kind of
they won't. They said they would take it from the API in the next 3 months, but I think they'll still leave it in the in the UI. It doesn't look good at vibe coding. I'm looking at the benchmarks.
Look, the thing about vibe coding, they said it before, like they hinted it, but the thing about vibe coding is that a lot of the performance you get is from the model choosing what to do next as an agent, and not necessarily at actually executing the task. Like there is a lot that you just lose just from the model choosing what tool to use next, or what to do next, or what command to run next. And if you go and look at benchmarks that measure exactly this, you see that even the best frontier models are horrible at this. And there are benchmarks for this that you can see. Models like OpenHands and so on, they measure themselves on this rather than actually executing the task and creating or just generating better code. And this is something that probably is one of the things that boosted the performance on Windsurf that they checked, because 4.0 could generate code, absolutely. But if you try to just use 4.0 for continuously using a tool and generating code like you do with agents, like you do with Cloud Code and so on, you see for yourself that the score was not the best. So probably I guess that this is one of the things that they improved, especially when there are many rumors for them to release coding agents soon. Like there was a rumor about a new software engineer agent, or I don't know. There were a couple of names name dropped in the last few days that are gonna be probably released in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They said there's going to be a big week, so it looks like we're only looking at like release number 1 on OpenAI. Also, we should mention, since we've guys met on Thursday, we should mention that there was this little thing that Sam Altman went on TED, and the guy who interviewed him, besides talking about copyright bullshit and whatever, also let it slip that Sam shared with him that like over I don't know, like 10% of the world now uses OpenAI like pretty significantly, which is insane. And they've crossed like 500 million. They're around like 800 million probably. So they grew almost 2x recently, probably due to image generation, which is great. But that's why they need the GPUs. Probably that's why 4.5 is retiring. Let's talk about the context window here, folks. We've been at the forefront of asking for more context for the past 2 years, from 6 to 14K. I think all of us tried to apply for the specific. You remember the specific application for context for 4K, 32K? So for GPT-4 had a specific version for 32K. And you had to apply for it in the API, and not everybody got it. And we're like, oh yeah, I wish I could.
Special thing.
Yeah, special thing. We're talking about this model. Still, they're showing us needle in a haystack that probably should die, but it is useful to some extent, maybe. But they're showing like a complete 100% chart for needle in a haystack. Though I hate this chart. Like they also redesigned this chart, but everybody knows the green chart from Excel that needle in a haystack actually shows. And there's maybe a benefit to have the model pull out the kind of the needle from the haystack, but as we've seen on the Ruler benchmark from NVIDIA, Ruler is the paper that came out and said, hey, here's other ways of testing effective context window. I wish that they ran this on Ruler. Now, because it's an API, I'm pretty sure that like folks will run Ruler immediately, and we'll get some Ruler benchmarks as well. Maybe we should do this in Weights and Biases. We'll see. We'll talk internally. But long context, they not only trusted NIH, they also went and created their own long context eval thing, which I appreciate, and shout out to the folks who are building new evals for everything. That's incredible. I just wish they released them because we need new long evals. They talk specifically about poems. Michelle said something about the peer poems and frog poems, and then the task is complex. So they call this OpenAI MRCR accuracy. And they only plotted, unfortunately, their models in here. I wish they would have plotted, the Gemini. And who else gives us 1 million tokens in production? Gemini gives. I think Qwen Max has 1 million tokens, and I believe that's pretty much it. Anthropic goes up to 500,000 for enterprise customers. So Anthropic didn't yet give us the results. We're getting some news that MRCR is already on Hugging Face. Woo! Let's
Yeah. They said
they released it. Amazing. Hugging Face. Go.
Just to say, we have a bunch of alleged Google models in the making right now. Like we had Quasar and so on. We had some Gemini models. At least they say they are Gemini.
So look, this is the new long context multiple needle in a haystack benchmark, multi-round co-reference resolution, they called it. Oof, that sounds like something a GPT came up with. Dataset benchmarking LLM's ability to distinguish between multiple needles in hidden context. This eval inspired by the MRCR eval first introduced by Gemini. Incredible collaboration here, folks. I love this. So OpenAI expands the task difficulty and provides open source data for producing results. So not only did they take some Gemini work inspired, they also released a data set. That's great. The model
how long is it?
How long?
How long? Like how many evals? How many tests?
We are seeing, let's see, 2.4 thousand rows. And then we can see the number of characters here. This is 1 million characters, so around probably 1 million tokens, right? 1.5, 1.1. So we can take a look. Can we? I don't know. Use this data set.
Probably you can just
there's a way.
Click on one of
to
them.
get it. It just takes a while for Hugging Face.
You can just query for cats. You can still try it for free. You can try the model for free right now. I am trying it. These are the best answers I have seen.
You want to show us something? Or
yeah. Because I want to compare it with 4.1, and I also got it to show the actual error. Okay, let me present real quick. Share screen, entire screen.
While Nistan shares, I will just say, if you guys like this commentary of the three of us talking heads about AI, we do this every week on Thursday. There's like almost 6,000 people watching us right now, or at least views. I don't know, X inflates views, but there's like a lot of folks right now tuned in, interested in the OpenAI news. We covered that and much, much more. So if you are interested in this, just go to thursday.news. Super quick. We just celebrate our 100th episode. And Nistan, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you open Quasar Alpha on OpenRouter,
move and then like this,
if you open OpenRouter and you open Quasar Alpha before and you try to query it again, you'll see here that it says Quasar and Optimus were stealth models and revealed on April 14th as early testing versions of GPT 4.1. And so we were right the whole time. So now I gave it, this is the question that it did not answer.
So we have a confirmation directly as an error message confirmation. Quasar and Optimus. Because somebody called out in comments that Optimus is still up, so it cannot possibly be this thing. So I guess we have,
and I was actually comparing both models. And this is one question that Quasar Alpha did not get right. It was like the very hard Marshall railgun. So this Quasar got it wrong. But then I tried it with Optimus Alpha, as you can see up here. And oh wow, it can draw a penguin now. All right, cool. So I tried it. Dude, these are some of the best answers I have ever seen on
what is this about? What is this about? What did you ask?
Oh, so the question again is, I ask this all the time. It's the biggest mountain in the solar system is Mount Olympus Mons on Mars. If we build a maglev train and we launch a train from Mount Olympus, how big does the rail, how long does the rail need to be if we're at a comfortable 2 Gs of acceleration? So it has to think about like the slope of the mountain, the curve of the mountain, how to achieve escape velocity. So it has to calculate all of that. It has to calculate orbital velocity and escape velocity. It's like we're launching a train from the highest mountain on Mars because there's almost no atmosphere there. And it has to calculate atmospheric drag. So it's a very long multi-step thing that only like the best models get it. And Optimus Alpha got it perfectly. It got the exact same question, same answer as. This is also how I was able to test that Sonnet was being nerfed because it stopped answering this correctly at the end of the steps. Yeah, so it has to get 2 of them. It's multi-step and it has to think of 2 things at the same time. It's like, how do you achieve orbital velocity? How do you achieve escape velocity from the Martian gravity well? And think of the slope of the mountain and the mountain going like this. And you have to maintain only 2 Gs so people are comfortable when being yeeted off the planet. So so it got that perfectly. Then I asked it, give me a guide on how to write the perfect SOAP note for a doctor, include all the nooks and crannies that most miss. And dude, these are the best, nicest answers to this I have ever seen. This is something I test every model with. It's like objective. It's just so nice. I'm not even reading what it's saying because it's just so nicely formatted. I also asked it another very hard question. I asked it describe the security architecture of SE Linux, include ASCII diagrams, explain how to build a hardened Linux kernel step by step too.
Nice.
It's so nice. It's just so nice. Oh yeah, and so it knows what the policy is. It knows what the kernel interactions. It's getting it right, and this is something I have to do manually quite a lot. And then I asked, make an ASCII drawing of the Linux mascot Tux. So it has to know that Tux is a penguin. And it actually made a penguin. So
what about Sonnet 3.7? How does he get it?
We can try Sonnet.
Just curious.
Yeah. We also should try Windsurf, as they just pushed an update. I just checked.
Oh yeah.
Windsurf just came out, and we should absolutely mention.
I just want to say, Windsurf is the only one that supports JetBrains. The only one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They just released the JetBrains thing. So, folks, we're getting an update, a patch fix. GPT 4.5 is free on Windsurf as this incredible growth strategy mentioned on OpenAI. Somebody mentioned this. I wanna highlight this comment. Interesting shift in strategy from OpenAI, from Cursor plus LM Arena to Windsurf plus Open Router. which I absolutely note. And we had Kevin from Windsurf on Thursday, and since then I just started using Windsurf, moved away from Cursor almost entirely. And
Really?
yeah, I think it's great. I love Cascade, absolutely. And it's great to see 4.1 is free there. So we're going to test it out. Maybe we'll build something. I don't know. Yeah, what's up? LDJ joined us as well. LDJ, what are the vibes from the community has been? We've been here talking. Have you been watching some of the reactions? What are folks saying?
Yeah, I've been looking at it a little bit. I kind of caught towards the end of the live stream and saw some of the benchmarks and things like that. But in general, it's of course the naming scheme. You know, people are always going to complain about the naming. You know, this is a model coming after 4.5. It's even beating 4.5 in some areas, like the Sweetbench verified scores, and I think also the Aider polyglot scores. Yep. And yeah, it's interesting from that standpoint. And then they also did technically say that GPT 4.5 would be the last non-COP model. So that's technically not true now, I guess. But yeah,
that's true. Yeah. When they announced 4.5, they said this is the last non-reasoning, non-chain of thought model, and they like some out my head like a shift in strategy, which is probably GPU related. Well, I think when you release something like
they said it like a month ago or
February
recently?
27th. Where
okay.
GPT 4.5 was released. I guess something like an image generation that takes over the GPUs and doubles the active users on OpenAI, that changes some strategies, folks. Absolutely changes some strategies.
Yeah, 1 million context window. I think that's a big thing that people maybe aren't talking enough about, at least in the kind of the messages I've seen so far in the circles. And the fact that I've noticed that they don't have the O in the name. However, did they mention any omnimodal abilities or anything?
They have multimodality, but not omnimodality. No, they didn't mention any omnimodality.
Because I think a question kind of on a lot of people's mind is, will maybe Omni be kind of like the new default, or eventually at some point be the new default to where they don't even put the O in the name anymore, because just like
I think
future models end up Omni? And yeah, that's what I think is probably eventually going to happen. Then it's just a question of like, is this the moment when that happens?
What more I think is going on is that like if you look closely on all the fleet of models, like for everything they do, they all are like, at least in the naming, are some derivatives of GPT-4o, both for audio, both for real time, both for video, both for image generation. All the API endpoints, even for transcription and for voice generation, they are all named GPT-4o something. So I suppose you're right. I think what they're doing is pretty much training one giant Omni model and offering it with different endpoints, like different heads and you know abilities of it. And this is exactly the direction they're going, like it being the default, I think.
Yeah, and in terms of the pricing too, I mean, we have this new nano model as well below mini, which I think is somewhat inevitable something like this would happen. You know, if the frontier keeps getting pushed, it just kind of makes sense to have something even cheaper than mini. And I was looking at the price compared to Google's, you know, Gemini models notoriously have like really good, you know, pricing to capabilities. And this seems to be the nano model is right around between the price of Gemini 2.0 Flash Lite and Gemini 2.0 Flash. So it's like right around that same price of some of the cheapest Gemini models.
So, folks, I'm noticing
what is the use case?
While we're talking about this, I'm writing this. So, Nistan, you just said, sorry to jump in here, folks, that they canceled the free, the free.
Yeah, as I'm using it, they just stopped it.
Hey, so switch to Windsurf, and now it's free in Windsurf for a moment. So I'm using this in Windsurf while folks were talking. This is the website that I just launched, Observable Tools. You guys should definitely check out Observable Tools. It's an initiative by Wits and Biases to bring observability into MCP tooling. We're working live with the MCP folks on GitHub, so you definitely come in there and chime in. But go to observable.tools. But basically, here's my website that I just built, and I just asked it, hey, can you add another section on the page for an input form to subscribe for updates? Make it look like the page. So it went and realized all these things. One thing I quickly noticed is that it doesn't go for 17,000 steps like Claude 3.7. It just like did the thing and then said, I'm done. Folks, done. Which is incredible
Good.
because like when Claude 3.7 starts to get something, it starts to build a whole backend for that like input box as well, and just runs.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, how many steps did it take? Like how many tools, how many steps? Like
So
how
search the
many
file
times?
system, analyze the page, and then edit it. No, I'll bet this was like a very simple addition to do, but I realized that I'm using like Tailwind, etc. The thing that I did notice also, it says you can now run your development server with npm run dev to see the new section in action. Previous stuff like Gemini 2.5 and Cloud Sonnet, they did this for me. There's like, I will run this for you. This one didn't. This one just like
And if you ask
suggested.
it, and if you ask for this,
And then I said, show me, and then show me the preview. So it did run.
Cool.
It ran npm run dev, and then show me the preview thing.
Nice.
And then this is the UI. This is the UI, which looks so. This broken thing is mine, but this one fits entirely perfectly within the theme. The same font, the kind of thing. The button.
Right.
Yeah, it works.
Try to do something like ask it, make it look prettier. Just make the site look beautiful. Just for us to see what's going to happen. Yeah.
Add some 3D hover effect.
I wouldn't complicate too much. Let's just make it beautiful.
I want to just have it
fixed. Nothing beats Sonnet, dude.
Yeah, so I'll
Sonnet
show you guys.
Is amazing. Amazing front end. Amazing.
Which
That's what I want to see.
3.7 or 3.5?
3.7 is amazing for front
thinking.
end. Amazing.
You're not gonna beat that. Yeah, you have to work out the prompting a little bit, and you have to yell at it and say, "I'm gonna cry if you do stuff I didn't ask you," and all of this. But nothing beats it.
The type of gaslighting I do is something like, I have a demo, please finish it up, make it work in one shot. I have a demo, I must present it. So that's the gaslighting I do for Sonnet. But yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna remove the subscription form because nothing changes there. If I commit, it will auto deploy to Cloudflare. But you guys wanted what? A test of make it look nicer?
Just make it look beautiful, make it look amazing. Let's just see what's gonna happen.
Add some 3D hover effects on the CSS only.
Amazing as much as possible. Use your AI UX skills and make this page pop.
I believe in you. I believe in you really helps.
Make it pop.
Believe in you. Heart emojis. Kissy face. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go. I'm thrilled to help you.
It is fast.
It's flying. It is absolutely flying, folks. Like I'm barely able to. Oh my god. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So let's see what we came up with.
I put out a 250 million tokens from the free API.
One thing I want to see is how it works with different agents. Because of course, if the guy from Windsurf had been at the OpenAI release, obviously it was tested. But it's really interesting to see, well, how it works with Cursor, how it works with C-Line, how it works with the other platforms.
One thing I noticed about this. One thing I noticed about this on OpenRouter, the app that uses them the most. Do you guys notice? It's this one that I haven't tested yet.
Roo, probably.
Roo, yeah.
Right?
Everybody tells me to like.
Roo is amazing, by the way. Anybody listening, Roo is amazing, and you need to try
Roo is a clone of Klein, correct?
It's like a fork,
one?
But it's an old fork. The thing about it is that it manages tasks really cleverly. Like it really manages the subtask, really breaks the thing into subtasks, and then sends models to like go and like do one thing and then validate that the thing is working and like really working step by step instead of trying to hammer everything in like, brute force. And it works really well. Really well. If you didn't try it, do try it. It's a really good thing. Really good platform.
Oh, and it's an extension. So you can use this with the open source VS Codium too.
I think you can even use it in Cursor if you really want to go there.
Or on Windsurf. All right, folks, let's take a look at what happens here and if it made it beautiful. Right now, nothing happened. Let me refresh.
All right, let it. Give it a moment.
Oh, I think I need to open this preview. Oh, holy shit! Whoa!
Okay, all right. You can vibe code. Okay.
So vibe coding, folks. Let's take a look at what happens here. First of all, the logo has like a thingy. Do you guys notice? Like it's animated glow on the logo. Then the title now has a gradient like the font gradient, which is great. It also gave like a gradient, animated gradient for the like header. The video section has like an animation as well, so like a bunch of animations. Look at these buttons. This is great. Look at these buttons. Read proposal and the other buttons, they're like glowing.
Oh, nice. It's not bad.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit of a different color to the like. So this is a different color.
If you can, go like put this aside and from the same commit send Sonnet. Let's see what's gonna happen.
Yeah. That's what I would do. But I want to see if it can do actual like 3D CSS.
Like if you give Sonnet the same prompt, what's gonna happen?
All right,
because
so that's,
I assume it's gonna be insane.
so the same exact prompt, and we want.
That's the beautiful thing, because you can mix and match this.
And
this is like
one. All right.
This is the future, right? That you're going to just use all the models at once. And we first got this from Cursor, which you could switch and Windsurf. So this is the way to go for any task, really.
I think everyone is doing it. You switch models all the time today.
Yeah.
So this was GPT 4.1.
Great.
We're now gonna go back completely and hope it doesn't refresh. Shit. No, it did refresh because I have auto refresh in.
It's fine. We remember. Let's go.
Yeah, we saw how it looked, right? All right, let's go. And then,
this is an interesting experiment.
3.7.
Oh yeah.
3.7 thinking. Yeah.
Thinking.
If you got thinking,
yeah, I got thinking. Let's go.
Good. Let's see.
We also saw that like it did it quite fast.
It's going to add a Stripe page. It's going to make you your business plan.
Yeah, it's going to go crazy. The thing is going to go crazy now. Absolutely crazy.
All right, folks. Yeah. So for those of you who are just coming in, we're a little over 6,500 people that watched this live stream. We're testing out 4.1. 4.1, the new models that was released by OpenAI in the API, and now Windsurf came to the OpenAI stream and said they've been using this and they're great, and now we're comparing its UX ability, its vibe coding ability. They specifically mentioned on the stream that it's better at front end than previous 4 versions. They also mentioned that it's faster. It's not a thinking model, so now we're comparing this to Claude 3.7, which is a thinking model, and there's like a thought process here. Add the modern eye-catching hero section, improve the overall visual hierarchy, spacing.
I can guess. I can tell you what's gonna happen.
You think it's gonna slap?
It's gonna make cards like somewhere. There are gonna be cards, and they're gonna be like a color at the side. It always do this, and it's gonna go add glow to some layer, like glow to the images
and background. Yeah.
I think
it's gonna be a lot more professional looking.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Like in 5 minutes.
Right. Unfortunately, I had live review. So what is it called? Live refresh turned on. So the second I kind of canceled out the changes, we lost what 4.5 did. But I think it's fine. I think we can still bring it back.
Yeah.
I will say Claude is taking way longer than we expected, and it literally says request is taking longer than expected. 4.1 flies, absolutely flies. It was super fast. It was fun to build with.
What I really like that they mentioned in the demo, which is something that is absolutely different in Sonnet than the rest, is that it's trained to output really long outputs. Sonnet is, when Sonnet goes, it goes. It like gives you the complete website. It goes really far. And notoriously, OpenAI models didn't go that far in terms of the length of the output, and they deliberately like showed you in the demo how it like one-shotted a complete website. So
Claude failed, and now it's going. So it looks like the request timeout. So now we're waiting. Okay, so we're seeing tokens kind of like getting rendered.
I am so happy that Claude is going to have to unnerf.
Oh my God, it wants to install Framer Motion. All right.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Let's go.
As
okay,
one does.
So already one difference is that like Claude wants to install additional packages for getting this page to be like motion ready. And then it has a thought process that I wanted to show you guys just before.
That's a great package.
I need to be careful with the changes since the file is large. First, I'll need to install Framer as dependency since I'm importing it. Let modify blah, blah, blah. So basically, Claude is going to go off hinge here, but we're testing 4.1 as well.
You know what's going to be interesting?
Yeah.
DeepSeek. DeepSeek, not the thinking one, the other one
DeepSeek V3?
that is really good
the last
at making websites.
Yeah.
Oh, 324. Yeah, it's bad at everything else though compared to R1, and it doesn't solve.
Bro, it added state for tracking animations. It added refs for different sections for scrolling. What the hell? It's gonna go like we
I
said.
love
Sonnet is like this, like you know, you hire like a junior dev that you hired off of like a viral project that he had, and then he comes in and does like a bunch of unnecessary shit that nobody needs in the business, and you're just like, bro, relax. We don't need this. We asked you like to solve a fucking Jira ticket, and Sonnet is like, nope. I revamped the whole website and moved it from Supabase to Firebase, and I changed from React to Vue. That's Sonnet like 3.7 in a nutshell, which is like to some extent like, bro, relax. Like we need so just because we're here to compare 4.1, the thing that I immediately noticed, 4.1 did the thing and told me I'm done. Didn't even run the server. Just like, I'm done, bro. Run the server on your own. I want this. I honestly sometimes I want a fix. I don't want like a super. Look how long it's going for. Like we've been on the live stream for an hour and a half. At least an hour of it was Cloud. All right,
this is why I like the thinking models like 001. They just do the thing. Like you tell them to do a thing, they just do the thing. Yeah.
Do the thing. All right, folks, I'm not going to give Cloud Sonnet more satisfaction and airtime here because it's running. But it's also complained about like the input context, etc. And now let's enhance the manifesto section with modern styling. I can't wait to see what this turns into. But I think after this, we're going to do a little recap of 4.1 and the exciting things. LDJ, you dropped like a bunch of things there. Is this like a summary of everything?
Yeah, and I think maybe one of the biggest things that when I'm looking through the benchmarks and then things they published, or one of the biggest things we're not talking about, I think, is the accuracy of the context, which I guess it's kind of harder to exactly test that in a fast way.
Yeah.
But like that chart there, that you have there. So like compared to every OpenAI model, it seems even O3 Mini High and GPT 4.5, it seems significantly better, even when we're talking about like 32K context inputs. And so, yeah, I think this is really interesting and might end up just like, I feel like we've kind of been like the fly in the jar that only jumps a few inches when it comes to like how we treat the models of how much context we give them. And I feel like we've kind of morphed our behavior to only, not give too detailed of context and expect too much out of them. But maybe this will change the capabilities that they're able to do.
Are you hinting at another resurgence of context versus RAG debate?
Well, I mean, right now,
RAG is dead. I'm just kidding. I don't want to get in there. RAG is not dead. Stop it. But I think that like all of the AI influencers will just say, OpenAI just launched 1 million context, 1 million tokens in the context window. RAG is absolutely dead. We're so bad. Fire emoji. We should go post it and see how
4.1 has been released for 24 hours. Here is how you make $1 million out of it. And people are already making businesses out of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've heard some actually interesting arguments in the opposite way of models with longer context and more accurate context arguably actually makes the case even better for RAG, because then you're able to do even more RAG with that single model. But there's a lot of different aspects. And
exactly, the best RAG models are like 512K and 256K, and the only reason they're limited at that is because it just costs way too much compute. Even with the Gina, the 1.5B 256K one, I was able to use at least like 2/3 of a cluster of 8 AMD 192 gig cards. You can fill that up.
Claude is still burning tokens.
Yep. Cloud is still costing me a lot of money, and nothing happened. I will say I highlighted this this comment from Sean. From Sean, and I think it's very important. Latency for code-generating tasks is a huge requirement and improvement for devs. And while we're waiting for this thinking very slow developer to reconfigure my whole backend and create unnecessary things in Framer, I already deployed the previous change for 4.5, and I'm on to the next task. So, folks, let me say this with clarity. Doing too much as an AI is also not great. Like, people complain about the amount of stuff Claude 3.7 can do. Also because when you define it on a narrow task and it goes off and does like a bunch of other tasks, It keeps going. Now it enhances the CTA. I haven't seen any of these changes, unfortunately. Let's take a look before we dive off, because like we're an hour and a half on live.
Let's go 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Give it
right.
5 minute max.
Let's review what it has so far and then run dev. Let's see, because supposedly the changes are live. Let's take a look.
I told you, it's way more professional.
All right, look, the button here that like scrolls to the manifesto. The video got a little bit of a thing now it's with a player.
Better. Dude, it's just better.
But it's not necessarily better. Look, it looks better, but what the fuck is this button here? It doesn't go away. What's the point?
We asked it to look better.
Yeah, that's
this is what we asked for.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's fine. It's still it's still building things in the middle. So like, it's it's changing things on the fly. But like, okay,
go down.
You have the button.
Here is my card. I told you.
Yeah.
Here it is. That's the section I told you it's gonna make.
I will say, adding icons though is dope. Understanding from the context of the page what's needed on the page is dope. Giving me a little bit of a like this thing, vision, icons everywhere. I mean, I don't know if it's more readable. This looks like
I don't know if readable, but it looks nice.
No, this looks like ass, absolutely, with the red text. The animations are slick though. I agree. Okay. I mean, yeah, this is good. This is good. Like with a little bit of a change, this is good. I don't know if it's what's worse the waiting, but this is not too bad. With the animations, the slide animations, it feels like they've trained on a different subset of the internet. Should have been waiting for all this? I don't know.
Why not both?
It's still going. It's still fucking going. Look at this.
I think they need to tweak it a little bit, but it is definitely very strong.
Yeah, it's strong.
Oh, wait,
now it says I'm finished. Let's take a look. Let's check the status development server. Blah. This is all still slower than GPT.
Run it yourself.
Yeah, come on, show it to me. Come on. Open preview. Yeah, it does look nicer. I'm not gonna say it doesn't look nicer. Like it has icons, it does like framework. There's animations here. The amount of work that it did though is crazy. Install packages.
All right, see you guys. I'm late for the next
folks. Let's do a quick summary. Nistan, thank you so much for joining, folks. A quick summary of all of the updates today. LDJ, you wanna start with the summary? I think you already have it in the thing, and then we'll drop off.
Yeah, sure. So GPT 4.1 announced today, 3 different sizes. The regular one, mini, and nano, has 1 million context length, coding capabilities, and SweBench and Aider is now surpassing GPT 4.5. Instruction following is nearly reaching O3 mini in 4.5 level. MMLU score is now nearly 4.5 levels too. It's claimed by OpenAI to be a non-reasoning model, and there's smaller models as well, with 4.1 mini and Nano, 4.1 mini surpassing GPT 4.0 in instruction following, and GPT 4.1 Nano has API pricing between Gemini Flash 2 and Gemini Flash 2 Lite. I think that's everything.
Yep. 1 million context window, 32K output, incredible speed as well, 50% faster than GPT-4o and Nano. And Windsurf is adding this as a free use for the next week. So folks, shout out to Windsurf folks. They're adding this right now. All of the thing that I did cost me probably $17 with Claude and probably $0 with Nano. Folks, thank you so much for joining. Again, I will say, if you like this type of commentary, all of us are hosts of ThursdayEye.News, which is a podcast and a newsletter that's recorded live every Thursday for the past 2 years. And we have this commentary and more about everything that happens in the world of AI from OpenAI and OpenAI APIs. OpenAI is about to drop an open source model. We're absolutely going to cover this as well. We have participants from big labs like Alibaba, Quen, and other folks joining us live on stream to talk about their stuff. So if you enjoyed any part of this, if you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, follow me on X, follow Yam, follow LDJ, follow Nistan, and then you'll get a notification when we're live. If you go to YouTube and turn on subscriptions, you'll get a notification there as well. Thank you so much for joining. It's a great day to have a new release from OpenAI. It's as fast, and we're absolutely here for it, and we'll do more commentary going forward. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.